guitar, given a lantern, and I started playing music by ear. I'd hear something on the radio and I could immediately pick it up. So that gift of ear is a weird thing that some people get, some people don't. Some people know it by reading it, some people hear it and learn it. But yeah, since I was 6.
What favorite songs do you like?
What's that?
What favorite songs do you like?
Oh man, that's a big question. I listen to everything from classical music to metal to hip hop. It changes. This year I was like top Spotify was R.L. Burnside, a blues guitar player. I discovered he died years ago. And so it always changes. Always.
Well, out of all your songs, what was your favorite? I don't know yours.
Out of my songs? Gosh. Probably The Devil You Know, because that one, changed everything for me. That was the one that kind of turned everything around for me and got on the radio and became a pretty big hit. So. Did you ever hand up?
I was going to ask this.
You were? Yeah, that's a good one. I like Mostly Stoned a lot because that helped me get my first record deal. It's kind of those songs that are the pinnacles of where things change in your music career. Mostly Stoned got me a record deal, didn't get on the radio, but went viral on YouTube, and then Devil You Know went on the radio and became a hit. And then this year we were the 5th most played rock and roll act in the United States of America. I went from never being on the radio to top 5 in the USA this year.
Come on, give it up for that. That is awesome, man.
It only took me like 30 years to get it, but I never quit.
That's a good follow-up. So tell us about you obviously weren't a star when you first started. You weren't a big hit, and you grew up here?
I grew up very poor. I could never afford nice guitars. We had cars repossessed when I was a kid, and I was, decided I was gonna not live like that. So I was like, I'm gonna leave Butte. I'm gonna go to Hollywood. So I got into music school, and I failed out of music school twice. Not that I am encouraging you to do that, but I was, and it's interesting because even 10 years ago, all my friends that got straight A's in music school, I found they weren't working in music. So they were messaging me like, dude, how did you figure out how to make a career? But it's that tenacity, never quit, right? Because since I was a kid, I dreamed of being on stage, and I couldn't let that dream die. I would not allow that to die. So I ended up in LA, failing out of music school twice. Then I went to Nashville, and I decided, I was like, let's try this country thing. So I fried chickens at a grocery store, couldn't afford a car, and I walked to work every day and had to wear a beard net and fry chickens in the South. So I was a chicken fryer, trying to make music. I'd wait on people like Dirk Bentley and all these singers, and I'd be like, I want to be a singer someday. And they're like, sweet dude, can we get our chicken? And so I worked at Harris Teeter, and then I went down to where the honky tonk was, and I just started hanging around where the bands were. And I knew if you hang around with people more talented than you and people that are doing what you want to do, that's a great lesson in life. Like people that you admire and respect, hang around them and learn from them what they do. And that's something I've heard Navy SEAL speak about too. Find the most talented person in the room and just try to learn how they do it, right? And so I started hanging around musicians, and finally I got a Thursday night gig at Tootsie's. And I was like, wow, it took me a year, but I was a bouncer, I was a bar back. Finally, I got to Thursday night, 6 to 10, so I had to learn 4 hours of cover music. That's a long lot of cover music, and I tried to sneak my own songs in. They didn't want to hear your own songs. They wanted to hear Hank Jr., Why Do You Drink? So I had to learn all the covers, and I didn't want to, but it was that crack in the door that I walked through of like, okay, this is step 1. Step 2 would be a publishing deal. Publishing deal is where you write songs, and you get a little paycheck, and then they pitch those songs to people. So ultimately, I got the Thursday night show, then I got a publishing deal. And my wife over here said, stop playing cover music and go write your own songs and try to pitch your own music. And I did that for a couple of years. And then my first recorded songs by another artist from Kid Rock, recorded 2 of my songs, and they're both top 40 country and then top 40 rock. That was pretty cool, and that got me on tour with Kid Rock. Somewhere along the way, I just kept staying in the fold of the music and songwriters, and just kept writing and barely making a paycheck, barely getting by. And this is a long period of time. You're talking, 10 years. And then I got in with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, and he's the guy that I should show you guys the footage. Someone filmed the day I met him, and I'm talking in my voice. I was probably in my 20s, late 20s. I'm about to be 40. Don't tell anybody. I'm in my late 20s and I'm on camera saying, I think this is going to change everything, and this is the break I always wanted, and I never met him, and then they filmed him walking in, shaking my hands. 24 hours later, the song that we wrote was on national television for the Boston Red Sox. I don't even watch sports, and now we have the World Series anthem. And about 2 weeks after that, me and Billy are on the cover of USA Today. That was a huge point, and Billy said, I want to take you on tour with ZZ Top. So for about the next 4 years, I opened for ZZ Top over 75 times across North America, from Canada to the United States, all around. And just got in the fold with Billy and kept going and kept going. And that was kind of a thing where I was like, am I going to get out of this level? Not that it's bad knowing for ZZ Top, but you're not making a lot of money. And a lot of these big bands pay you $500 a night to open the show. And guess what? You pay your band, you pay for fuel, you pay for food. You're losing about $3,000 a night to do it. So you've got to be resourceful, sell your merchandise, market yourself. So I hope that the merch table made enough, and then somewhere along the way, I wrote this song called Mostly Stoned. Billy had my back always. He became, my dad died when I was younger, so Billy kind of became my later life father figure for me. And, but somewhere along the way, I wrote this song called Mostly Stoned. And a guy from Butte named Rob O'Neill, the Navy SEAL, was friends with Charlie Sheen, and introduced me to Charlie Sheen. He's a movie star. And he directed the music video for Mostly Stoned. I didn't have any money, and he did it. I got some sponsors, a meat company, some other folks that throw some money in, and that video went viral, and I found myself in BMG Records' office for the third time. Guess what they said the first two times? You're never gonna make it. So I played for every record label in Nashville at least 3 times, and they all passed on me. But you go home, you lick your wounds, and if you believe in yourself enough, you pick your guitar back up, and you say, they don't not like me, they didn't like the music. Let's make better music. Anytime someone told me no, that would push me further. Right? It was that was that inside of me, like, okay, you don't like me? Well, watch this. I'm gonna write a better song. I'm gonna play better guitar. I'm gonna be a better musician. So when I went in there getting it passed, but that time I went with Charlie Sheen, they said, we want to offer you a recording contract with BMG Records. And they put a contract on the table, and I signed the record deal. Now the interesting thing is, that I was there for 2 years, and none of my music ever went on the radio. They would just pay me to make these records. And they'd come out, and it was never good enough, this and that. So somewhere along that time frame, I was like, I'm probably going to get dropped. I prepared myself mentally for getting dropped. So I was like, be a big boy. You still got to follow the method of when they say no, work harder. And I moved to Montana and bought that bar out in River. That's why we live here now. I brought my kids back up here, and I turned in Devil You Know. And I was on a country label, and I said, here's a rock and roll hit. See you guys. I'm moving back to Butte, outside of Butte. And they called me, and I thought they were going to drop me, and there was all these people on the phone, and they're like, this could be a huge hit song, we're going to take you to rock radio. And I was like, thought I was a country guy. I'm like, yeah, but you're really edgy. This is going to be perfect for rock. You're on the same level as Jelly Roll. Let's push you out there. And the song exploded on the radio, and I'll never forget, I was driving from Butte to Wise River, right about Rocker. I get an email. I follow the Billboard charts. You guys heard of Billboard charts? Taylor Swift's always on there. It's the biggest chart in the country. And it said, chart newcomer Tim Montana makes record debut. And it was because the song shot into the top 20. So I pulled over on the side of the road near Rocker, and I started crying. Because I was like, oh God, I did it. I live in Montana now. This is so complicated. And so you just never know when your moment's going to happen. And then, so that song stayed on the charts forever. Then we released Savage. Devil You Know was a top 5 hit and stayed there forever. And then Savage went top 7 in the country. And that's out of thousands of songs, right? It's crazy. I'm on the charts with Green Day and Foo Fighters and Pearl Jam and all these rad bands. And it's just my name. And people in Nashville said the number one question is, who the heck is Tim Montana, and why is he owning the rock and roll charts this year? And a lot of people don't know me, but I'm like, my back hurts, I'm 39 years old, I just refuse to go home. I kind of took that Butte mentality of, the miners, it's just tough life up here, it's cold, we wake up, we work hard, we chase our dreams, we don't care if people tell us we can't do it, we keep driving and fighting and pushing, and Cole Anderson's a good example of that. Rob O'Neill's a good example. There's some really good examples of guys that just refuse to take no for an answer in their careers. And so we had, when the Billboard charts came out with their year-end review, top 5 most played artists in America this year, 2024, sitting right in front of you.
Wow.
So, it's a long journey to get here.
Yeah.
And then last week, I got to check one off the box. I got to tour with Jerry Cantrell, if you guys know Alice in Chains. So I got to tour with those guys in Bush and Stain and Seether, and a lot of these bands I've looked up to since I was a kid. They're still out there. And one of my last guys on my bucket list was Slash from Guns N' Roses. And as of last week, I got to take the stage with Slash and trade riffs with him. So I kind of checked the last guy off my Mount Rushmore, from Billy to Cantrell and now Slash. And so I got to rock with him last week. I was really sick. We did the Grange, California Love by Tupac.
That's awesome. That's sweet.